Emotional intelligence is a much-used term of late, especially since COVID. The dictionary defines it as the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. Okay. Emotional intelligence is also often referred to as soft skills. Now, I don't love that reference, as it seems secondary to or less important than hard skills or technical or functional skills. I don't agree, especially when it comes to being a great leader. There is no question that high EQ, as it's also known, helps immensely in one's career. Not only will you have better interactions with others, you will likely cause less what I'll call friction or frustration for yourself, because you will be better able to control your emotions, decisions, and behaviors. Now, anyone who knows me knows of the 5 dimensions of leadership that I created a few years ago when I started my podcast, Fifth Dimensional Leadership. They are, for those of you who don't know yourself, speak your truth, inspire love, expand consciousness, and activate mastery. Now, the first dimension, know yourself, is about self-awareness. And before you can effectively interact with others, you need to know who you are, not just in terms of your professional capabilities, but in terms of how you think and behave and what you stand for, what your fears and beliefs are. And you need to master your ability to constantly reassess yourself as you move through the world, because we are not static beings. We are dynamic and ever-changing. Hi, I'm Ginny Clarke, a conscious leadership expert who spent 2 decades in executive recruiting and talent management. Having worked with giants like Google, Spencer Stuart, I discovered that the secret to transformative leadership lies in the 5 dimensions of conscious leadership. And I'm here to help you unlock your full potential. Join me on this channel as we embark on an honest and vulnerable journey together to become the kind of leader that genuinely inspires organizational transformation. I spent a lot of my career as an individual contributor. As a recruiter, I worked on project teams and I led search assignments, but I never had a large group of people who reported directly to me. Once I got to Google, I had to build a couple of teams to support the functions that I stood up, and I took on another team for eventually a total of 30 people reporting to me, with 6 direct reports and the rest reporting into them. So I realized that I had to rely heavily on my EQ and many of the interpersonal skills I had developed as a recruiter, namely tapping into how other people are feeling, what triggers them, what they likely feel, fear, or believe that they haven't expressly said. Body language is a dead giveaway, and I'm able to pick up on someone's energy, that vibe we give off, sometimes, often, unintentionally, right? My team members were young, mostly in their early 30s, with little managerial experience, and in some cases, had not been exposed to strong leaders. So I sought to get to know each person and what made them tick. And I expressed my expectations and the boundaries for being part of the team. And I asked for and I gave feedback. Note, asked for as well. And I gave it in the moment and regularly. So I was successful in building a reputation for being a strong leader, having a team culture that people felt safe, supported, and able to grow in. And when I think about how I went about doing this, I doubt that many people knew that I was consciously using this EQ. And in fact, it was almost instinctive for me at that point, because I'd been a recruiter for so long. I was a college recruiter. This is kind of a gift that I have. It's almost creepy that I almost have X-ray vision. I can see into people. I see what you haven't said, right? And I can hear what you haven't said. And sometimes that unnerves people who might feel insecure or threatened. And so I've had to also learn how to mitigate that by being a little bit more calm, right? I'm 6 feet tall. I scare people, so I often sit when I'm speaking to other people to make them feel comfortable and to know that they can trust me. So it's that sensibility of really feeling someone's energy to know how best to interact with them. It's a skill. So here are 2 tips on how to leverage your EQ for what you want. Gather information about yourself. What are you known for at home, at work? What do your friends and family say about you? The good and the not so good. Me, I was known to be driven, brutally honest, not always so good, the one who could take it and solve the hard problems, right? The rock. So I had to learn and accept all those things and understand the implications of how those things might be showing up at work, right? So consider asking a few people, what 3 words come to mind when they think of you? And then, how do you respond to stress? Good news, criticism. Write all this stuff down and think it through and begin to get a picture of yourself through somebody else's lens. Really important. You know, I think the way I turned some of the things that might have been the not so good things about myself into useful tactics, so to speak, by doing the self-assessment that I'm describing and kind of saying, okay, this is how I am. There are fundamental aspects to who I am, but how might I moderate it? How can I kind of turn down the volume a little bit? And how might I, again, tapping into the other person's energy, learn what might help them more? So if it's, the brutal honesty can be tampered ever so slightly by just kind of pausing to say, how does that feel when I say that? You know, I want to be sensitive. I'm not trying to be critical here. So it's things like that where you've got to be true to yourself, especially if it means getting work done in the workplace. At the same time, you have to be able to give people what they want. And at some point, I'm also not into coddling. So for the people that just can't handle it, well, maybe I'm not the manager for you. You know, it's, there are other people on the team who seem to be okay. Are you being just unduly sensitive? And maybe we should talk about that, because that could show up to be a problem, not just with me, but in other aspects of your journey, your career journey. Number 2, assess and filter. Do these comments that you heard from friends and family and coworkers, do they ring true? Which ones can you own that you don't love? And which ones simply don't align with how you see yourself? Now, again, we've talked about how we can only have the perspective of ourselves through our lens, and that's why we have other people in our lives to help us see another perspective. But there are times when you have to kind of figure out, I hear that, but can I act on that? Is that something that I think is a pervasive sentiment that I need to change and address? But which ones do you really need to work on because they are not serving you now? That becomes the question. Which ones are not serving you? And only you can really answer that. We sometimes see ourselves through a lens that was shaped or even imposed by others. And as we mature and evolve, we discover some labels or identities that were assigned to us no longer suit us. And we need to get clear on who we are in our own terms. So what I'm really saying, you are building and creating such a level of awareness of yourself that it's helping you to create a higher level of awareness in and for others. So you now can see that you're part of this other system, and you're actually modeling how others need to start looking more carefully at themselves. So it's not, you don't have these people who, it's just about me and you're not doing what I want. It's like, no, we're part of a system, and I'm here to help show you how we can coexist and even thrive as a system that we're all a part of. So based on my story and some of the self-assessment tactics that I've offered, let me offer 3 specific ways to leverage EQ, or emotional intelligence, to get ahead in your career, because I know that's really important to some of you. Self-monitor. Always ask yourself what your role in the outcome of the situation. Model the behavior you expect. You got to give to get. You want people to trust you. Be trustworthy. Honor your word. Be on time. Tell the truth. These are things that will get you trusted. Tune into how others need to be engaged. Real empathy is about treating others the way they need to be treated while staying true to who you are. We tend to think it's, well, that's how I would want to be treated. Well, they're not you. They aren't you. Even people in your own family, your children, they're not you. You need to treat them the way they need to be treated while staying true to yourself. Therein lies the sort of alchemy, if you will, of creating a system in which everybody can not just exist, but even thrive. Listen to my Fifth Dimensional Leadership podcast episode with Dr. Carol Robin, who's a lecturer at Stanford's Graduate School of Business and the author of Connect, Building Exceptional Relationships with Family, Friends, and Colleagues. She's going to talk about a lot of these things, and I think it'll be really informative for you on this subject. I know firsthand how taking that first step can be the catalyst for a life-changing transformation. I remember the moment I decided to harness my own strengths, and it made all the difference in my career. And that's why I've created a career mapping tool just for you to help you uncover your unique competencies and leverage them to design your own career map. Take the first step towards your next level by clicking the link in the video description, and let's start this incredible journey together.